I want to talk about our annual review process.
It's a very shitty feeling. It's actually more stress than it is fun. थोड़ा टाइम हो गया ज्योतिष के साथ बात किए हुए, but
ज्योतिष मैं
मेरे
किसी
को-
ज्योतिष को नहीं जानता हूँ. I don't believe in any ज्योतिष.
and the only way we can happen to life is if we know where we want to go. What are we really controlling? Like seriously.
Yeah, it's not the goal that matters, right? It's the person that you become in the process of the goal.
यार मेरे
हम
को
अभी
लगता
भी
है मेरे को
देसी
ये
है भाई, इंडियन पासपोर्ट वाले हैं.
अकेला अकेला करना पड़ेगा ये सब.
Hello everyone, welcome to Almost Macho podcast. I am Preet Sagar and I'm here with my co-host Dhiren Bhatia. Dhiren,
Hi Preet, really good to be here. And this is, as always, an exciting episode, and I can't wait to get into it with you.
so Dhiren, this time we're doing a little bit something different. I want to talk about our annual review process, right? You and I, we've been doing annual review for last almost 3 years together, 3 to 4 years together. And it's been almost like a therapy session at the end of the year that we go through together, where we talk about our wins, our losses, and what we plan to do next year. What has been the biggest takeaway? Why do you do it? Why do we do it together? I mean, we both have different reasons. What is your reason to make sure that you do it with a partner rather
यार
than
पहली
doing it
बात तो
alone?
ये पहली बात तो ये है कि I'm really upset that we're not doing it this year. कि एक तो you're in Toronto and I'm in Dubai, and last time also we made it happen just by the hair on our head, because there was somehow we both managed to be in Mumbai and we booked a hotel for ourselves and we stayed there 2 nights and we worked really hard.
A 5-star hotel, might I add. We wanted to be a little posh.
5 star. We don't do this lightly, we take this very seriously. But yeah, I'm really upset that we're not together. And to be fair, I don't think you and I even put a date on when we want to do ours. So I'm really sad about that. But to answer your question, now that I've had my chance to complain and how
भाई
far you've
ऑफर
gone.
अभी भी है. आजा टोरंटो, मस्त न्यू ईयर्स में मेरी फैमिली जा रही है यूएस. बैठ के दोनों भाई बैठ के चिल करेंगे. पार्टी तो नहीं है अभी, लेकिन वी कैन जस्ट हैंग अराउंड एंड plan the whole year in the winter season over here. It's beautiful as
Like,
well.
No, yaar. I left that
I
snow 16 years, 8 years ago. I don't enjoy the snow here anymore.
I,
Aapko
I
aana hai,
have
aap
a
aa jao.
I have your bike sitting in my garage, which we could sell, to get your tickets and sponsor it. So
That bike, man. Fuck, I don't know what to do with that shit. And when people say you should own, like, when they talk about how they own cars and bikes and apartments in multiple countries, it's a very shitty feeling. It's actually more stress than it is fun. You don't know
it
what
is
to do
true.
with it. Yeah, I've been having that bike for 8 years. I've ridden it like 3 times. Um,
You're
करेंगे
into
उसका.
sunk cost fallacy with the bike. कभी ना कभी तो
हाँ
use
यार.
करेंगे. It's like
हाँ
that
यार.
attic thing. You know how parents keep this thing के ये कभी ना कभी तो ये काम ही आ ही जाएगा, तुझे नहीं पता है.
Correct. मेरा भी ऐसे ही कुछ चल रहा है. But coming back to the question about the retreat, right? Firstly, Preet, the truth is, you and I both are we're very, how do we say, we're very passionate about improving our lives, improving ourselves. And that's something that we've bonded over since we've become friends. And to sit down with someone who has the same mindset as you, who shares the same thought process as you. And also, I think the two of us have the ability to challenge each other. We know each other so deeply. We know each other pretty well now. And we've had so many different adventures together. We have the authority to challenge each other. So I'd say the reasons that I love doing this with you is, one is the fact that we're great friends. Two, we know each other so well. We've had so many adventures and experiences together. So we share a lot of common stories. Third is we challenge each other. We're at that point in life where we don't have a hang up of how I pushed you or you pushed me. And I know some of our sessions have become therapy sessions. Our last one, particularly, one was a very emotional one for me because you helped me with stuff with my dad. So I'd say for those reasons, Preet, I love doing our annual review together with you.
Yeah, for me it is more of the test where they put you whether you're telling the truth or you're bullshitting. I think that's what helps me talk to you, where you can catch my bullshit and you're like, अरे ये बकवास कर रहा है, इतना hard नहीं है, यही कर ले. Or if I feel I'm lying to myself about what I've done or too hard on myself, I think somebody to tell me that, dude, this must be really hard. It's complex. And I feel like, हाँ यार, actually कोई समझता है. I didn't realize how hard it could be. And somebody to soundboard rather than just doing yourself, right? It helps a lot.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. You know, I think also, Preet, you and I are also very curious about trying different techniques. So I know when we started doing this, actually, this is more than 4 years, I think we've been doing this. We started doing like a Michael Hyatt course. And then you went and bought, I think, Jesse Itzler. And we tried, the cool thing about the two of us is we don't like status quo, right? We like breaking shit. And we like changing shit. And अपने आप को स्ट्रेस देने वाली बात है नहीं लास्ट वाला तो ठीक था बट वो हमें कुछ चाहिए नहीं हमें नया माल चाहिए हमें
हाँ,
हमें कॉम्प्लेक्स चीजें
that doesn't
चाहिए
that doesn't sound right. नया माल चाहिए हमेशा. Yeah. एक
which
बार
is true
थाईलैंड
because
जाना है, थाईलैंड जाके कोर्स करना है हमें, एंड रिट्रीट
it's
करना
like
है,
how
सब
we used to
अलग-अलग
go
करना है.
running, right? Do you remember when we used to go running? नहीं यार धीरेन वो सेम रूट नहीं भागना है यार लेट्स चेंज द रूट नया रूट चाहिए आज नया रूट
Actually, it
भागना
used to
है
be opposite for me. Running part, I think, was annoying for me because I want my running part to be so consistent. I want to know कहाँ भागना है, दिमाग नहीं लगाना है. And Dhiren, you wanted हमेशा नया पाथ चाहिए. और मेरा ब्रेन इतना कंफ्यूज हो जाता है कि भागने में कंसंट्रेट करूँ या कहाँ जाना है वहाँ कंसंट्रेट करूँ.
yeah
Um,
so but the truth is right like I know if we go down this path we'll talk about something very different but let's bring it back to the
yeah,
review
yeah, 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 yeah. I like you mentioned, Dhiren, you are more methodical and I think systematic with these things. You also have different people that you follow and get information from. And I like it how we are able to combine those two and merge it and make our own sort of goal setting review. And every time you have a different set of questions that you've gathered from different places or made, you're also hosting an annual retreat for your entrepreneur circle, and I have my own accountability where a lot of questions and everything clarity come in and we combine that and we riff through. So I feel it's a process where we actually create the course for the next year or questions for the next year, as well as we create our own goal setting style.
yeah and like you said right I both of us I think we think in sort of flow and I like having sections done in my head but and the typical format that we followed Preet, is where we wrap up the first year so the first bit of time that we spend together we talk about how we wrapped this year up what did we do this year what did we not do this year what were some of the highlights what were some of the disappointments and I think doing that exercise is a really good way to really close the year and get closure. I feel like a lot of us tend to go into the next year just wanting more goals and higher numbers. But if you don't close this year, if you actually don't review what actually happened versus what you had planned to happen, it doesn't give you that closure, right?
Agree, agree. I think review has been one of the biggest parts of my part of the goal setting that we do every year to understand where we stand. A lot of times, I actually always underestimate what I've achieved in that year, and
All of us, man, all of us.
yeah. So I think that has been the pillar, and that has been such a successful thing to look at and not feel like a complete bust of a year because the year goes by so fast और इतनी सारी चीज़ें करनी है, इतना सारा अचीव करना है और हमेशा ऐसा लगता है यार कुछ भी नहीं किया. And then when we look back and we, are able to recognize that, wow, we've actually come quite a long way.
Yeah, I'm talking about that. I was thinking of something I'm writing in my newsletter. The days are long, but the years are short. I read this in a book when I was as I was reading to I don't know why I was reading this. This was a parenting book. I was reading this because I wanted to learn how to be a better parent. And this line became so profound. Same is true for life. Same is true for business. We, like you rightly said, we go through the whole year hustling, 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 and when we come to the year, we say, "यार कुछ किया ही नहीं ये साल." But a review really helps us dial in that ये महीने में क्या किया ये क्वार्टर में क्या किया and then we start to look at it and I know every time we've done this यार then we look at each other and say यार किया तो बहुत कुछ ऐसा नहीं था कि खाली गया साल बहुत कुछ किया so I really think a review is absolutely the first step and anybody thinking of doing something like this. Second step, Preet, something that I love and you love as well is looking at the bigger picture. Um, I don't think that we can plan a year out if we don't have the destination in mind. We don't have the vision in mind. And I know you and I have had several arguments about what is vision, what is mission. But the truth is, if you boil it down, where do you want to go, and what do we need to do next year to get to that destination? So, talk to me about that, Preet.
Yeah, I think the vision part was always a woo in my head most of the time. I thought कि यार क्या vision देखना है, क्या करना है. I never understood कि भाई 5 साल का किसको किसको पड़ी है, किसको पता है कि 5 साल में क्या होने वाला है. But I think doing the sessions with you, I realized the reason for the vision is to have a vague idea of the end destination. What it's almost like moving backwards from where you plane is going to head, right? And then you talk about the steps in between to head to that destination. So that's what vision helps. Um, Breaking it down into goals is what I see more clearly. Vision is, I feel, one time exercise. We kind of review it and we revise it as we grow older. For example, as a parent, my vision is to that Rishi has a fulfilled life in the future. He is capable and he becomes a better man and shows up as a better man as a human being and is capable to tackle the world on his own. That's my vision for him, right? Which I understand, and then we put it down in the paper. Um, but everyone has different structures. So what I like about our way, I'm just going to riff, yeah. What I like about the way we plan goals is we have a loose structure, what we follow, but you have different styles and different labels to it, and I have different labels to it. Like you have missions, and I call it projects. We have quarterly targets. We have sort of small play around it. What is your idea of a vision?
Yeah, very similar to what you were saying. I also have learned from you, Preet, that जब अपन बात करते हैं विजन के बारे में, is it's very easy to get bogged down with the detail of it. नहीं नहीं यार, ऐसा होगा 3 साल में, ऐसा होगा 4 साल में, ऐसा ही होना है. But the truth is, ना आपने future देखा है ना मैंने देखा है, and we both don't know what is going to happen in the future. Most of us don't know, right? Unless we have a magic ball or you have a very good Jyotish. Talking about Jyotish, we should exchange notes. इस खरा टाइम हो गया ज्योतिष के साथ बात किए हुए, but
ज्योतिष मैं
मेरे
किसी
के
ज्योतिष को नहीं जानता हूँ. आई डोंट बिलीव इन एनी ज्योतिष प्लीज.
नहीं, बट कहने का मतलब ये है कि I've also learned ki, and there's a phrase that I learned recently, loosely coupled, tightly aligned. Um, the idea is having this methodology or this alignment in your head ki you can be looking at the vision, which is far out. You know that it may or may not go that way, but at least you have an idea. And it's the idea that we need to follow, understanding that things may actually change on the ground. So 26, 27, 2026, 2027, 2028 may look very different from what I'm thinking right now. But at least I have the end destination loosely. I have an idea of the end destination. So, and again, it's like driving a car, right? We can't drive a car without knowing where we're headed. You could fill a tank, you could have great tires on the car, but if you don't know where you're headed, there's no point driving. And I think it's a great metaphor for life too. And I know that we've had many conversations about life happening to us versus us happening to life. And the only way we can happen to life is if we know where we want to go. Loosely coupled, tightly aligned. Loosely coupled, meaning that you're free to go with the flow, tightly aligned, understanding that you know where the destination is. So you're always in control.
I love it. I recently read this quote from Alice in the Wonderland, which says, "If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there." Right?
Exactly.
And say so. So having a vague, even a vaguest idea, and I think we all get into the analysis paralysis, especially me. I get into कि यार सबसे perfect vision कौन सा है? Like what is the gold standard of vision that I need to develop? And that's why you had called me out and said that Preet, you just need to figure out the vision for the current version of you, because the new version of you might have different visions, and that can be tweaked. Like it'll be aligned with new information. You will make new decisions, new goals, and you will have new visions. But don't go too much into that details, and just figure out what your current vision is and go with that.
I was going to say, Preet, also there's this tendency for us to want to be in control. Maybe this is just wisdom as I'm getting older, right?
We need all
what
the
are
rain
we
wisdom that we can get.
what are we really controlling? Like, seriously, what are we really controlling? We have no idea what the fuck's going to happen to us tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen to us the minute we open that front door. And so we spent so much of our life, especially the young adults that we spent so much time perfecting everything and really controlling the narrative because we really want to stay in control. But as you grow older, I think you realize you're not really controlling anything. You're just flowing a little bit. No, you're flowing and you want to be able to nudge the flow so that you stay in the illusion that you are controlling. So I think a vision is just that. It's an illusion of control. It's a very faint map of knowing where we're going. And once you have vision, I think the idea is question about then the next question that we love to answer that you and I have answered and we spent so much time actually answering. This is the bulk of where we spend our time in our retreat is what would make us happy this year in order to get to that destination that we're talking about. And I know a lot of coaches will call this in different terms, but really we're talking about what does fulfillment look like 3 years from now and what does fulfillment look like this year, this coming year. So what do we need to do next year or this coming year, sorry, to get to that final destination that we just talked about. So that's pretty much the next step, Preet.
Yeah, I like that question that we ask. What must be true? What must be true at the end of the year for you to be happy in this category of your life? I like that whole idea. Dhiren, before we jump into that on the goal setting and what must be true, I want to talk about one thing that I think even as a parent, I think Rishi feels that I have a perfect life. And same thing, I think, as coaches, right? I think all the other coaches or all the other people listening to us think that we have perfect life. Like you have a color coded calendar, everything goes exactly as per plan. कोई चीज यहाँ से वहाँ नहीं होती है. And that is something, a myth that I want to, break. That yes, we do set goals. Uh, we do miss marks in some of them because we are over ambitious in a lot of them. We do try to make it color coded as much as possible, but then life happens, like you mentioned. You know, l- have faith and have loose idea of how perfect the week is going to be or month is going to be. And that's something that I picked up from Jesse Isla, which I really enjoyed, is think in weeks and months and not in days, because your days might not be in control. Like if I didn't hit a gym one day in that week, I would normally get so dejected. But then what he taught me was to think in weeks or months, saying that, hey, in a week, if you're able to go 2 times, that's a successful week. Like nobody's
Yeah.
going to have a perfect day.
Yeah. I always think about this when I coach folks. I always think in my head, kabhi aake dekh lo yaar how we live, how I live as well, how messy I am in my head, how messy I am in my life. And you're right, it's a myth. I don't think anyone's life is perfect. I also think that nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. And I'm not saying that because I don't believe in coaches or truly do. I have multiple coaches. But I think having a coach in life or having a mentor in life is not that they have a perfect life, is that they're also figuring it out and they're willing to share their lessons and their mistakes for the sake of somebody else to get better. I think that's my role, is what my role is as a coach, Preet. I know you believe in this too. We're not perfect. We don't claim to be. And we're just someone who is willing to share where we fucked up and how we're unfucking ourselves out of this. So I think this podcast is a good example of that. We don't know what the fuck we're doing. We're just figuring it out, and we're
That's
sharing
great.
how we're unfucking ourselves, out of a situation that we got ourselves into in the first place.
Parental guidance, please. We should beep all these words. Coming back, what I want to know is, you and I, we both have different categories of life, right? We started in complicated wheel of life, 12 categories, and I think over the time you have actually reduced it to 5 to 6 categories. Tell me, what are your categories, and I'll share mine.
Yeah,
So
I
we
like
could
the
take turns.
7 Fs, and I just recently prepared the
I thought there were
workbook
only
for the
5 Fs.
No,
What
I've
is
changed
there?
this to 7.
अब भाई अपग्रेड कर दिया तूने उसको भी.
Uh, yeah, I was thinking that let's talk about the why we what are the 7 Fs first before we get into the specifics. So the idea is to, if you look at everyone's life in general, they fit into 6 or 7 domains typically for the most part, right? What are they? One is family. We all play some role as a family man or as a family woman. That could be your spouse, you as a spouse, you as a father, you as a mother. There is
Mm.
friendships. So your second F is your friendships, your social circle, who you sit with, who you talk to. The third is fun. What do we do for fun? And a lot of people may understand that, oh, my friends are my fun, but that's not true. The fun element is what you do in life apart from friends and apart from work as fun. Maybe that's
What
learning
is
a new
play for you?
hobby. What is play
Yeah.
for you, right? Third one is faith. So that could be religion, it could be spirituality.
Hmm.
How we up leveling ourselves in that area, in that domain, or what do we do in that domain? Because the truth
Hmm.
is, there is a higher power, and we need to understand that there is a higher power, whether you call it God, it's science, whichever. Then there is finances. So your personal family finances.
Hmm.
What are
Hmm.
we doing in that domain? The next one is future. So as work, in your work domain, what do you do? How did you do this year? What do you need to do next year? And finally, the most important one, if not, um, actually, technically, they're all important, but I find this one to be really important. It's fitness. How you and I looking after our bodies, because at the end of the day, health is wealth. If we're healthy and fit, everything else becomes super easy, right?
Wow. On a side note, this is something that I read recently, which was so profound, and I want to share it. Um, if you were to realize that you have borrowed the body of somebody you really love, how would you treat it differently? So, say example, I love my son to bits, and if I were to think that this is the body that I'm in my son's body, how would I treat it differently? Is how you should actually treat your own body, or something
I
so
love that.
powerful that
So true.
came to mind.
It's a
Right.
good metaphor. It's a good perspective to keep somewhere on the mirror as well every morning. Because when we do get, like we said earlier, right, the days are long, the days are long, the days are long,
The
the
nights are
years are
longer.
short. Yeah, the nights are longer. But the truth is, when we're in the day, we forget. अरे नहीं यार बहुत important meeting है छोड़ना कौन जाएगा workout पे. I've done this a few times this week. नहीं यार बहुत थक गया हूँ. नहीं नहीं छोड़ना यार बहुत important काम है. But the truth is, if we're not looking after the body that we're in and remembering that it's a borrowed body, I think that's a great metaphor. So thanks for sharing that one.
Yeah, I love it, Dhiren. 7 Fs. Wow, that's a great. I think I should put one for fuck ups that we kind of do also. कि भाई
Let's
last
make it an
last year के
8F.
हाँ, you 8 Fs. Last year के fuck ups fix कैसे करेंगे? What is the one thing that you need to fix this year? Uh, I have a different version. I actually do a simplified. I think I've gone through Fs and I've gone through different structures, and now I kept it into health, wealth, um, career, relationship, and me, like personal
Yep.
development. Everything else, like fun, everything categories come in me itself. So,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Makes sense.
although our formats are
S-
the same, our structures are different, which is nice for anyone to pick up whatever they like from it. It's almost like an a la carte, right? They can choose your own categories and your own how you break down the life in your own structured head.
Yeah, and what you said, right? Like, I also think we as perfectionists, a lot of us tend to get bogged down by the details. नहीं book में ऐसे लिखा है ऐसे ही होगा. वो sir ने ऐसे बोला ऐसे ही होगा. It's a function of our upbringing. But the truth is, this is your life. This is my life. Love, run it the way you want to run it. Run it the way that makes it easy for you. Take something and adapt. That's really the secret to being successful in life. You can't duplicate it word for word, and it shouldn't be duplicated word for word. So I love that you shared an alternative version. But Preet, maybe we should also talk about what do we do with this. So we've talked about the 7S. We talked about how you categorize your domains. What do you do with this?
So I go with the vision, have an overarching vision, what I want life to be in 5 years, 10 years, and then break it into categories. And then I think about in each area of this domain, which is going to be my focus domain. Like for this year, my focus domain was fitness.
But before you build vision, do you do some activity around scoring? How you did this year? Do you give yourself some sort of score?
I did that initially, but now I feel कि यार मैं या तो बहुत गंदा स्कोर करता हूँ कैटेगरीज में, अंडर एस्टिमेट करके स्कोर करता हूँ, या बहुत हाई स्कोर करता हूँ. However, for the structure of it, I think it will be good to what I do, I think in the review session, I ask myself which category I've done exceedingly well, where I need to move fast, where I need to slow down, where I need to uh, focus on this year. I think that's how I loosely score it. Um, but of course, for anyone who has not done this, the best way is to do Wheel of Life, where you from 1 to 10 score each area of your life and see which is the most important one for you and which is the least important one for you and how you're scoring yourself there. The score can be based on, you know, do you have clarity on it? Do you know where you are? Are you fulfilled in that area of your life?
Apart from also just scoring yourself, I think the element also is understanding what we did well and what we
Mm,
didn't do well. Because I think the truth is, as humans, we tend to set over ambitious goals every year that comes. Ah, nahi yaar, next year ye bhi karenge, ye bhi karenge, ye bhi karenge. So there is this nice energy that happens at the end of the year. But as the year happens, we tend to falter, and then we start aligning ourselves towards one or two areas where really need our attention. So when you score yourself on those 7 Fs or the domains of life that you talked about, you tend to get an idea of where you did well and where you sort of slacked off or where you couldn't pay attention to. And maybe that could be the priority for next year. So I'll give you an example. Like this year, this weekend when I did the retreat for the part-time CEO community, a lot of folks realized that they had done terribly on their fitness side of things. And when you think about it, if you're not healthy, if you're not happy in your own body, you can't be a great CEO, you can't be a great father, you can't be a great athlete, you can't do anything if you're not happy in your health, right? So scoring or the wheel of life exercise is a really handy exercise for a variety of reasons. So I encourage everybody who's listening to give it a shot. Download the template online, and it'll take you less than 30 minutes to do.
yeah, we can drop some links in the show notes as well for anyone to do it to know. It's always good to know where you are before you where you're heading.
We've
How do you
done the
guys
wheel of
heading?
life. The next thing we do is we set the vision. We talk about what the next few years look like, and then we work our way backwards. And I think, like we said, what must be true next year for that vision to be actual. So talk about that. What must be true, Preet?
Yeah, Dhiren, I like this exercise that we do every year, which we build a perfect day or a perfect week, right? What do I think a perfect day is going to be looking like for me? Like, I think understanding from what time I want to wake up, who do I want to meet, and a lot of people mistake that oh, my perfect day is sitting in the beach in Maldives, but yeah, you can't do that for 365 days a year. You might get sick of it after some time, right? Or staying in a spa. So, what is an ideal, ordinary, perfect day from, or ideal, ordinary, perfect week rather? From there, I kind of understand how do I achieve that and repeat it 52 times a year. I think that's what my goal setting part comes in there. How much time am I spending at work? How much time am I spending with the family in each category of life? And how I want to automate it, right? So that's what I think is a great way. And then writing the goals, like just writing specific time bound goals the traditional way. The only difference I feel what I liked that we had upgraded is writing it in present tense and not just writing that you have achieved the goals. A lot of people say that it is now that it's June 2026 and I have $5,000 saved in my bank account. But we also have upgraded to write the feeling that we have once you have done that. So I'm happy sitting in a cafe looking at my phone and I've saved $5,000 in June 2026 so that it's an after effect. It gives your mental and logical brain a clear goal to achieve.
Yeah, yeah. Almost like it's like you're building the identity, not even just the goal. Now you're building the identity, and having an identity to chase is much better than a goal. Um, Preet, I think also one thing that we do, and I know we've held each other accountable on this, is to make sure that the goal isn't uh something that's easy enough to get done in the next 1 month. It is technically an annual goal, so it should take you longer than 6 to 8 months to actually make it happen. So when you're talking about being healthy, most of us will take the easy route out and say, okay, I want to lose 2 kilos, I want to lose 3 kilos, or either we go too ambitious, we want to lose 50 kilos. But like you said, it has to be realistic. And so using the SMART framework, I think, is a great tool to make that process easier. But also, I want to make sure that everybody gets that it's not the input that we're looking for. We're looking for the outcome. So by end of 2026 December, I have lost 50 kilos. I'm feeling happy. I'm looking in the mirror. I'm feeling really good about myself. I can fit into my clothes from 3 years ago. So building it like that viscerally, that you can actually envision it, can be a really, really big game changer for those that are doing
Yeah,
this.
future pacing is so important in this, and then work backwards in that category. So, what do you recommend? Dhiren, you have now 7 categories. Do you have like 7 different goals in each category, or you have like 14 goals? How does it work?
Yeah,
Uh,
Preet, so
what are your thoughts on?
my thought process is, you take those 7 domains, those 7 Fs, and you look at
Hmm.
the role you play in those 7 Fs. So, for example, when you talked about family, in family, I play 2 roles. I play father and I play husband. And those are my critical roles in the next year, because of how our life is currently set up. So, I give myself a goal in both of those areas. What would I want to achieve as a husband next year? And what do I want to achieve as a father? So, that completes out my family domain in life. I would recommend having one goal. The truth is, we love to think we can multitask, but we're not multitaskers. We're not built to be multitaskers. एक चीज को पकड़ो और उसको ठीक करो, दूसरी चीज को पकड़ो, नेक्स्ट ईयर उसको ठीक करो, because that is the beauty of life. And I know you may have a version of this, but I've read somewhere that it's not action that creates motivation. It's not motivation that creates action. It's action that creates motivation. कहने का ये मतलब है कि if we start our year plan with 3, 7, 8 goals, we're already shooting ourselves in the foot. Pick one thing, start making incremental progress towards that. That will give us the energy to finish the rest of it, and then come to the other end of the year and say, yeah, man, what a phenomenal year. I said I did what I said I was going to do. And there's magic in that. There's beauty in that. I know a lot of people tend to do this. At least 20 kilos कम करना है, at least 20 kilos. इसका क्या मतलब? अगर आप at least नहीं, at least का क्या मतलब? आप खुश होगे, नहीं खुश होगे, 20 करोगे, नहीं करोगे. So
They're
um,
the people who just want to dip their toes in the pool. They don't want to jump and dive 100% in and full committed.
हाँ, you're hedging, right? You're hedging. हाँ, थोड़ा हाँ चलेगा, अगर हो गया तो very good, नहीं भी होगा तो भी चलेगा. But that's not what winning in life looks like. Pick a number, make it realistic, and do all your best effort to make that happen. And I think there's beauty in that. So, Preet, to answer your question, pick the domain, pick the role in that domain, give yourself a goal, one goal, more than enough. Honestly, more than enough. Right? For me, for example, this year, the 2026, one of the goals I was thinking of is I need to lose some weight. Now, I can think about in terms of fitness, पहले हम लोग करते थे, मैराथन भी भागेंगे, ट्रायथलॉन भी करेंगे, फलाना भी करेंगे, ढिमका भी करेंगे, बट द ट्रूथ इज इतनी ज़्यादा टाइम भी नहीं है और पेशेंस भी नहीं रहा आज का. सो माई गोल इज़ वेरी सिंपल, यार मेरे को 5 किलो कम करने हैं अगले साल और मेरा बॉडी फैट मेरे को कम करना है. सो दैट्स द गोल. लूज 5 kilos and lose 5% body fat. Simple enough goal. But the best part about this, Preet, is not the goal itself. It's the measure or the lead measure that we put in place, or the habits that we do daily, weekly, monthly, that are really critical. I'd love for you to share something on that, Preet.
Yeah, it's not the goal that matters, right? It's the person that you become in the process of the goal, right? It's even setting that goal itself. If even if people just write the goal down, I think the 80% chance that they will hit that goal without doing any effort, because it's already there in their vision and they've already started transforming their habits in that. Uh, I like that, Dhiren. I also want to talk about one of the things we have, like, Jesse calls it misogi, we call it bhag or bhag, whatever
BHAG? You mean
you
BHAG?
bhag,
Every time you say
uh,
bhag milka bhag aa gaya.
bhag milka bhag.
BHAG,
So
Big Hairy
yeah,
Audacious
big
Goal.
hairy audacious goal, like one single goal. What is the reason? What is your reason for having that one single goal? I'll share mine after that. Uh, what has been the focus for that?
Yeah, Preet, that's a great question. I know this is something that you introduced when we were doing our yearly planning. Uh, it, and it makes sense to me after we did it a few times. It's like a dog chasing multiple balls. You've never seen a dog chase 6 balls at the same time. You've never seen a dog chase 3 balls at the same time. When there's a dog and there's a ball, there's one dog and there's one ball. And that dog is mad about that one ball, right? Of course, along the way, he gets distracted because he saw another toy or he saw another treat item, but he's really after that ball. And I think in life, we need to have that one big goal that we're chasing. If that goal achieves itself by the hard work we do, life would be supremely amazing. And so in my case, I have a goal where I want to get Prisha, my daughter, home because she lives in India. And if I can solve that problem, so all of my energy, all of my attention is in that area of life. ऐसा नहीं है कि I'm not looking at other things, but मेरे को पता है कि at the back of my head, that's the one big goal that I want to chase this year because that would make me supremely happy. And then everything, because of that, everything else will become easy in life. That's what I think, Preet, about big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yeah, and that's so important, right? Because it creates absolute clarity and focus. I was actually talking to a mentor of mine today morning, where something that I discovered, that I have this ideology, which might not be the best, or might not be. Uh, I don't know if it'll land well with everybody. I feel there is no anti-hustle culture. There is only a hustle culture. You got to hustle, right? What I mean is that doesn't mean you don't take rest, you don't prioritize other areas of life. What I feel is that one goal, you hustle 100% on it. And because of that, you might have to hustle little less in other areas of life. But मेहनत के बगैर फल तो नहीं मिलता है. There's a lot of thinking के anti hustle culture के भाई यार कुछ नहीं करना है, चिल हो जाएंगे, आराम करेंगे. ऐसा नहीं होता है. You got to work, but you got to work out balance. So I feel having that one focus helps you take little bit, uh, you know, pedal off the accelerator in other areas of life, where you can say, for health and fitness, this is the okay level for me.
My Hindi teacher used to say, but obvious. वो तो but obvious है ना, अगर आप एक जगह पे फोकस डालोगे और जगह तो कम होनी ही है फोकस, and that's okay. I think a lot of people set themselves up for failure because they think they can do everything and they think they can do all of them well. But like you said, वो एक कौन सी जगह है, what is that one goal, that one role that you really want to focus on, because if that were to sort itself out, everything else will become easy. I will add one more thing, Preet. The big, hairy, audacious goal is not a moonshot. If it is a moonshot for you, great, but it doesn't have to be a moonshot. What I mean by that is, I think a lot of people think big, hairy, audacious goal, oh, it must be really big. I want to make $10 million next year, or, I want to run 4 marathons next year. No, I don't think that's what we mean by big, hairy, audacious goal. What we're saying is, in one area of life, pick that one mission, that one goal that you want to chase, that if that got done, everything else would be easier and you'll be much happier. Anything you want to add to that, Preet?
No, that's a clear focus. I think it's great. So then let's break it down into, like, wrapping this episode for somebody who has never set goals in his life. If you were to give him, say, 4 to 5 tips, or a very quick 3-minute download of how to break down, how to do goals, and summarize it, what would it be?
Yeah, Preet, I think that's a great way to work towards closing this episode, because we've covered that, but I'll recap it here. Start with doing some sort of audit, some sort of review, and really close the year. Really let this year go. We carry so much baggage into the next year, and that starts to weigh heavy on many of our shoulders. So give this year a great goodbye. Write a forgiveness letter, do a wheel of life exercise, whatever you need to do to close the year. Once you've closed the year, think about what the next 3 years look like. Where do you want to be in the different areas of life that we talked about, the different F's? What does fulfillment look like? What would make you happy 3 years from now as a father? What would make you happy as an entrepreneur? What would make you happy as a health and fitness enthusiast? Once you have that, also ask yourself what needs to be true this coming year in order for you to make that big picture happen. Once you've got that, now it's time to break it down into a goal. And the framework that we love using, Preet, is the SMART framework: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, टाइमली.
Time bound.
ये
Yeah.
5 हाँ, ये 5 चीज़ें अगर आपको आती है वो गोल में, you have a very high success of making that goal happen. After you've fixed your goal, work backwards further and think about what will you do on a quarterly basis, what will you do on a monthly basis, what will you do on a weekly basis, and what will you do to make those weeks happen? Or what will you do
Yeah.
to make that goal happen?
Right. And what is the most important factor to make sure that you reach the finish line in this, Dhiren?
Please, please, please select one goal. Don't kill yourself and select 3, 5, 10 goals, because Instagram says you should ask yourself all these questions and come up with 20,000 goals. One goal, one outcome. Chase that like a dog after a bone. Don't get carried away with hustle culture and just shiny object syndrome. One simple outcome.
Agree. I think having less goals, simplifying the process, and saying no to everything else will get you to the finish line like nobody else's business.
Yeah, and I also have to say, right, Preet, there's a caveat. It's harder than you think it is. It's harder
Yeah.
than most people think it is, because what happens is, as the year starts to go, we tend to get distracted. We tend to get attracted to all of the other things that are happening. Arey yaar, ye bhi karna hai, abhi ye bhi karna hai, abhi ye bhi karna hai. And there is wisdom in knowing that you can't do everything in this one year. You can do it next year, the next year, the next year. So pace yourself. Also, Preet, something that you and I have done, and I know we'll talk about this in another episode, is finding yourself a council or a group of elders, someone who has already achieved what you want to achieve, or someone who's a couple of steps ahead of you in achieving what you want to achieve. So find yourself a group of people, a circle, books, resources that can help you get to that end goal that you're looking for.
Great, Dhiren. Before wrapping, any one book recommendation somebody could read this year, which has been your favorite book that you've read or that you would like to recommend?
Preet, the book that really changed my perspective is the one that you recommended. Actually, to me was the 4,000 Weeks book
I
by
was just going to
Oliver
say that.
Burkeman.
I was
It
just going to
really
say that book.
puts into perspective how short our life really is. Another book, since you're going to recommend that one, I will recommend another one. Read the book called The Odyssey Plan.
Okay.
It offers a nice way to. It offers a framework of questions that you can ask yourself on what you want from life. I think the truth is that most people want to do goal setting, but they get bogged down by it, the complexity of goal setting, and also the questions itself sort of tend to weigh heavy, because most people don't know what they want from life. And it is not as complicated as we think it is. A lot of us suffer from this idea that we don't have purpose, or I don't know what I'm doing in life. The truth is, most of us don't know what our purpose in life is. And the Odyssey Plan is a great book to help you with that.
Fantastic, Dhiren. Thank you very much. It has been a great episode, and yeah, let's find out a date where we both can sit together and do our goals this year. Not just
आप
talk about
बॉम्बे
it,
आ
but
जाओ
actually set
आप
up.
बॉम्बे आ जाओ बेटर है आधा
अरे
ना
बॉम्बे
आपका
तो
ना
नहीं
मेरा
होगा
बॉम्बे आ
ये
जाओ
50-50
50 एक्चुअली हम लोग क्या करते हैं पता है लंदन में मिलते हैं
लंदन में मिलता है ये बात सही है
लंदन में मिलते हैं
सर
वहाँ ठंडा
अभी
भी
मेरे
नहीं है
पास कनाडा का पासपोर्ट अभी तक आया नहीं है अभी तक आएगा उसके बाद हम लोग कहीं भी चले जाएंगे मुझे लंदन की वीज़ा अप्लाई करने में ही 3 महीने चले जाएंगे यहाँ पे
अरे यार मेरे को
हम अभी
लगता है
भी
मेरे को
देसी
ये
है भाई इंडियन पासपोर्ट वाले हैं
अकेला अकेला करना पड़ेगा ये सब but yeah,
I will do
we
it
should really plan our own. Okay, let's
mm,
end this episode. Preet, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you, dost. Great chat.
yeah
See you on the next one.
see you in the next one